The Plea. The Andralis galaxy was vast, a sprawling tapestry of light and darkness, where thousands of civilizations glided silently across the cosmic sea. At its heart floated the citadel of Zanara Prime, a colossal fortress suspended above the gas giant of the same name. It shimmered like a jewel, its spires and domes reflecting the stars and nebulae in a mesmerizing dance of color. Here the Galaxy Council gathered, a coalition of the most powerful and ancient civilizations, tasked with preserving order, resolving conflicts, and regulating the delicate balance of the universe. Earth's envoy, Kalen Virio, approached the Citadel's grand gates with a mix of awe and trepidation. He had traveled for months aboard the Astronova, leaving behind the familiar blue skies and green lands of his home planet. Now, standing before beings whose civilizations were measured in millennia, he felt the full weight of humanity's plea on his shoulders. Kalen was young for a diplomat, only 34 cycles old, but his mind was sharp, and his heart carried the determination of an entire species. His dark eyes scanned the massive chamber as he was led in by a pair of Zinarian guides, their elongated forms and iridescent skin catching the light as they glided gracefully across the polished floor. The chamber was enormous, spanning kilometers in diameter, with floating platforms and holographic displays showing the countless worlds represented in the council. Each delegate was a living testament to the ingenuity and diversity of the galaxy, creatures of silicon, energy, and forms beyond human comprehension. At the center, a raised dais held the Galaxy Council itself. Archana Lyra, the council's presiding member, hovered slightly above the floor, her translucent wings casting shifting shadows across her crystalline body. Her eyes, pools of liquid silver, regarded Kalen with a kind of detached amusement that made him shiver. To his left, Chancellor Varnock, a multi-limbed being covered in flowing metallic filaments, whispered softly to the others, no doubt speculating about Earth's plea and its likely futility. Kalen swallowed hard. This was the moment he had trained for, the moment that would decide the fate of Earth. He stepped forward, his voice steady but carrying the weight of every human soul he represented. Esteemed members of the Galaxy Council, he began, bowing respectfully. I am Kalen Virio, envoy of Earth. I come before you not as a conqueror or a petitioner seeking advantage, but as the voice of a planet in peril. The council chamber remained silent, the only sound the soft hum of anti-gravity engines and the occasional flicker of distant stars visible through the transparent ceiling. Kalen drew a slow breath and continued, Our world faces an unprecedented threat. Rogue raiders from the Vorthian cluster have emerged from the fringes of our system. They strike without warning, their ships armed with weapons capable of annihilating entire cities. Our planetary defenses are untested against such foes, and the loss of life could be catastrophic. A ripple of whispers passed through the chamber, but none of the delegates moved to acknowledge him. Kalen pressed on, desperation beginning to tint his words. We are a young species, yes, but we have grown and adapted. We seek guidance, support, and, if possible, protection from those who have sworn to maintain peace across the galaxy. We do not ask for dominion, only for a chance to survive. Archana Lyra's voice cut through the chamber, crisp and cold as ice. Earth, she repeated, her tone dripping with derision. A blue rock at the very edge of the galaxy, barely notable on our maps. And you ask us to intervene against a few unruly raiders. Kalen's jaw tightened. He had anticipated skepticism, even scorn, but the sheer dismissal was more than he expected. Yes, he said, his voice unwavering. We may be young, but our potential is vast. Every species begins somewhere. If you do not intervene, countless lives will be lost, and history may forget us before we even leave our cradle. A soft, almost musical laugh echoed from the dais. Archana Lyra's wings shimmered as she leaned forward, inspecting Kalen with a mixture of curiosity and condescension. Potential, she mused. A word humans cling to desperately. And yet, your world has shown little to convince us that your species can rise to the challenge of interstellar threats. What makes you think you are worthy of attention? Kalen felt the pressure mount. Around him, the chamber seemed to grow colder, the alien eyes of hundreds of species scrutinizing him, judging, dismissing. Yet, beneath the fear, a spark ignited. He straightened his shoulders and met Lyra's gaze. Because we learn, he said firmly. Because we endure. Because when faced with impossible odds, we find a way. We do not ask for indulgence or charity. We ask only for recognition that humanity can rise if given the chance. The chamber buzzed quietly, some delegates exchanging glances. Even Archana Lyra's smile faltered for a moment. Yet she quickly regained composure. We have more pressing matters than the plight of a single insignificant planet, she said, her tone final. Earth must fend for itself. You may leave. Kalen's stomach dropped, but he did not falter. If that is your decision, he replied, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart, then know this, Earth will not wait for approval. We will act. We will adapt. And one day perhaps the Council will see that dismissing a species with heart and courage is a mistake. The council chamber seemed to hum with tension as Kalen was escorted from the dais. He turned once, giving Elira one last look. There was no fear in his eyes now, only determination. This dismissal, this mockery, had ignited something in him that no alien arrogance could extinguish. As the gates of Zanara Prime closed behind him, Kalen took a deep breath. The stars stretched out before him like an endless ocean, vast and unknowable. And yet he felt a surge of resolve. Earth had been mocked, yes, but mockery was the seed of defiance. On the journey back home, Kalen began drafting plans, not for pleas or petitions but for action. Humanity would not wait for the galaxy to deem them worthy. They would prove it themselves. And in that silent, determined resolve, the first spark of Earth's stand against the galaxy was born. Somewhere deep in the council chamber, Archon Elira's eyes lingered on the departing envoy. Perhaps, she murmured to herself, we have underestimated them. And in the endless void between the stars, the fate of a planet hung in the balance, its destiny no longer in the hands of the Galaxy Council, but in the hearts of its people. The humans rise. The Earth Kalen returned to was both familiar and painfully small compared to the cosmic stage he had just witnessed. From orbit, the blue and green planet seemed fragile, a tiny jewel floating in the infinite darkness. Yet within that fragile shell, Kalen knew the seeds of defiance had already taken root. He could feel it in the air. The people's growing restlessness, their collective pulse of urgency and anger ready to ignite. Kalen's first stop was the Global Defense Council headquarters, a massive structure nestled on the outskirts of New Geneva. Inside, leaders from every continent had gathered, their faces etched with disbelief as they absorbed the envoy's report. Kalen stood at the center of the room, his eyes meeting the gaze of Commander Lyra Voss, the recently appointed head of Earth's fledgling interstellar defense fleet. Lyra was a woman in her early 40s, with steel-gray hair and eyes like storm clouds, an aura of authority that made even seasoned generals pause in respect. Kalen, Lyra said, her voice calm yet resolute, are you certain? The council, they refused. They mocked us. There's no chance they'll intervene. Kalen nodded solemnly. I'm certain. They dismissed Earth completely, Lyra. Not just ignored us, they laughed. And yet, that mockery is the catalyst we need. The room fell silent as his words sank in. Some delegates whispered nervously, while others clenched their fists, anger and determination mingling in the air like static electricity. Kalen raised his hand. We cannot wait for the galaxy to grant us permission or pity. If humanity is to survive, we must stand, and we must rise now. Lyra's eyes brightened with a spark of recognition. Then we fight, not with fear but with ingenuity, courage and unity. We are underestimated, yes. But underestimated is a weapon we can wield. Mobilizing the world. Within weeks, Earth transformed. Cities that had been centers of politics, commerce, and culture became hubs of innovation, research, and construction. Engineers and scientists worked alongside former military personnel, designing ships, weapons, and defensive systems never before attempted on a planetary scale. In the orbiting shipyards above New Geneva, the Aurora assembly line hummed with life. Massive hulls were constructed in zero gravity, each one a testament to human ingenuity. Among them was Captain Joran Kale, a brilliant tactician and pilot whose reputation for daring maneuvers and simulations had earned him command of the flagship Aurora's Edge. Joran paced the hangar, his fingers brushing over schematics projected in midair. We're not just building ships, he muttered to his second-in-command, Talia Wren, we're proving that humans can take on the galaxy's greatest threats, even before they acknowledge our worth. Meanwhile, Kalen worked tirelessly, coordinating communications, intelligence, and diplomacy. Though the Council had dismissed Earth, he understood the value of knowledge. We must understand our enemies as well as ourselves. The Vorthians will not give us mercy. We must give none in return. Across the planet, everyday citizens joined the effort. Children built complex simulations, honing the strategies of tomorrow's pilots. Scientists worked in laboratories, perfecting energy shields and propulsion systems. Even farmers and laborers contributed, producing rare materials and supplies for the fleet. The world had become a single organism, its heartbeat synchronized to a shared purpose. survival and honor. The first signs of defiance. Kalen addressed a global broadcast, his words transmitted to every screen on Earth. We have been underestimated, dismissed, and mocked. But history remembers those who act, not those who wait. Humanity has a choice. We can bow to ridicule or we can rise. We will rise. Across the globe, the response was overwhelming. Crowds gathered in plazas and squares, waving banners that read, "We stand, and humanity will prevail." Lyra Voss appeared on major broadcasts as well, her words cutting through the fear and uncertainty. We do not have the luxury of waiting for the Galaxy Council's recognition. Our survival depends on our courage, our unity, and our willingness to act where others falter. Humanity will not cower. Humanity will stand. In workshops and shipyards, engineers built prototypes with extraordinary speed. Weapon systems integrated advanced AI designed by Earth's top minds, while propulsion units exceeded anything previously conceived by humanity. Every innovation was fueled not by profit, but by the determination to prove the galaxy wrong. Training for the impossible. The human fleet, though small compared to the raiders of the Vorthian cluster, was a marvel of adaptability and ingenuity. Pilots trained relentlessly in simulators, learning to anticipate the impossible, while ground crews prepared for relentless repair cycles and rapid redeployments. Captain Joran Kale drilled his squadron in complex maneuvers. They'll expect direct attacks, he told them, voice steady but intense. But humans think differently. We'll use unpredictability as our weapon. Speed, strategy, and creativity will outmatch raw power every time. Lyra Voss oversaw large-scale fleet exercises. Her voice boomed over the command channels. Remember, every ship, every crew, every citizen contributes to this fight. We do not have the advantage of history on our side, but we have something far stronger, our spirit. That is why we will prevail. The exercises tested not just combat ability, but coordination, logistics, and human resilience. In these moments, Kalen observed not just strategy but something far more profound. The indomitable will of a species that refused to be dismissed. A planet united. As weeks turned into months, Earth became a planet transformed. Science, military strategy, and human courage intertwined seamlessly, producing a civilization prepared to face threats the Galaxy Council had deemed beyond their capability. And yet, despite the technological strides, it was the human spirit that remained the most formidable weapon. Kalen and Lyra stood together atop the skyward command tower, overlooking the bustling city below. Ships launched into orbit, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight, while below engineers and citizens worked tirelessly to sustain the effort. "Do you feel it?" Kalen asked quietly. Lyra nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "I feel it every day. Humanity isn't just surviving, we're proving ourselves. The galaxy may have laughed, but that laughter has become fuel. We've risen before the council and now we rise as a species." Kalen allowed himself a small smile. "We are ready, Lyra. Not for approval, not for recognition, but for survival, and for the day we show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of." Above the clouds, the stars glimmered like distant witnesses. Humanity had taken its first steps into the wider galaxy, not as petitioners seeking aid, but as a force determined to carve its place among the stars. The mockery of the Galaxy Council had lit a fire on Earth, one that no alien disdain could extinguish. Humans had taken a stand, and the first sparks of defiance promised a blaze that would soon illuminate the cosmos. The first skirmish. The Vorthian raiders arrived like shadows slipping from the edges of the void, their jagged ships cutting through the darkness of space. For centuries they had terrorized isolated systems, taking what they wanted and leaving destruction in their wake. Earth, naive and young in the galactic scale, had been unprepared, until now. From orbit above the planet, the human fleet formed a defensive perimeter. The ships, though fewer and smaller than the Vorthian armada, gleamed with the ingenuity of Earth's engineers. Each hull was a testament to human resilience, packed with innovations born from months of tireless labor and countless sleepless nights. Commander Lyra Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard, her hand resting on the console as she surveyed the enemy fleet. Her steel-gray eyes narrowed. "They think we're weak. They think we'll crumble. They have no idea what humanity is capable of." Beside her, Kalen Virio monitored communications and enemy patterns. "They've underestimated us before, Lyra," he said quietly. "And they'll underestimate us again. Every flaw they see, every weakness they assume, they're wrong." In the distance, the Vorthian mothership, a massive spire of black metal adorned with jagged energy conduits, advanced slowly, its smaller assault vessels peeling away like predators closing in on prey. The calm before the storm. The tension in the fleet was palpable. Pilots ran last-minute diagnostics, engineers double-checked shields and weapon systems, and soldiers strapped themselves into their stations. For many, this was the first time facing true interstellar combat. Fear mingled with adrenaline, but it was quickly replaced by determination. Humanity had trained, innovated, and adapted, and now it was time to prove themselves. Captain Joran Kale of the flagship Aurora's Edge addressed his squadron. Listen closely. The Vorthians expect a standard engagement. They'll attack directly, relying on their superior numbers and firepower. But we're not standard. We are humans. We think differently. We move unpredictably. We adapt in ways they cannot anticipate. Stay sharp, trust your training, and remember, we fight not just to survive, but to show that humanity will not be dismissed. The pilots nodded, gripping their controls. Among them, Talia Wren, Joran's second-in-command, whispered a quiet prayer. Not to gods or alien entities, but to the resolve that had carried humans through countless trials on their homeworld. The battle begins. With a roar of engines and the hum of energy shields, the human fleet surged forward. The Vorthians reacted with deadly precision, their ships spinning into formation, weapons glowing with lethal energy. The first salvo of plasma bolts streaked across the void. Explosions blossomed in space, debris scattering like deadly stars. The humans, though outgunned, were agile. Joran maneuvered the Aurora's Edge with daring precision, weaving between enemy fire and retaliating with synchronized volleys. Flank left. Use the Nebula's Edge for cover, he commanded. Human ships darted like swallows, striking and disappearing, confusing the Vorthians, whose larger, slower ships struggled to adapt to such unpredictable tactics. Kalen watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. His heart raced, not from fear but from awe. Humans had never fought beyond their atmosphere, never faced a threat like this, and yet here they were, surviving, adapting, and even gaining ground. Ingenuity over firepower. The turning point came when a squadron of smaller Vorthian fighters targeted Earth's orbital defenses. A direct assault could have crippled the fleet, leaving the planet vulnerable. But human ingenuity prevailed. Engineer Rena Salvik, stationed aboard a repair and support vessel, had devised a clever decoy system. Drones disguised as fragile ships, but equipped with jamming devices. As the Vorthians closed in, the drones activated, sending false signals and scattering enemy targeting arrays. Confused, the Vorthian fighters collided with each other, giving human pilots the opening they needed to strike with concentrated fire. Lyra watched the success unfold, a grim smile on her face. They think they're invincible, she muttered. But the galaxy has never faced humanity before. Even the mothership, colossal and menacing, struggled to adjust. Joran led a daring maneuver, using a gravitational anomaly near Earth to sling his ship around the enemy's flank. Target the conduits, he shouted. Hit the energy lines, disrupt their formation. Explosions tore through the mothership's exterior. Vorthian energy shields flared and faltered. For the first time, the invaders hesitated. Humanity, young and underestimated, had forced them to reconsider. Courage amidst chaos. As the battle raged, individual acts of bravery shone through. Pilots shielded damaged allies, engineers repaired systems under fire, and soldiers maintained communications despite overwhelming odds. Every human aboard every ship contributed to the effort, proving the HFY principle. It was not merely strength or technology, but spirit and ingenuity that defined a species. Talia Wren led a daring boarding maneuver. Using small craft, her squad infiltrated a Vorthian cruiser, sabotaging key systems from within. When the enemy realized the breach, it was too late. The cruiser had already lost propulsion and weapon functionality. Even civilians on Earth, monitoring the battle through live feeds, were inspired. Across the planet, people cheered, prayed, and supported the fleet in any way they could. Humanity was not just fighting in space, it was unified, every individual contributing to the stand against extinction. Victory against the odds. After hours of relentless engagement, the Vorthians were forced to retreat. Their mothership, damaged and humbled, limped away into the darkness, leaving the humans victorious. Earth had not only survived its first interstellar battle but had done so with tactics, bravery, and ingenuity that no other species had predicted. In the aftermath, the human fleet gathered in orbit, surveying the remnants of enemy ships scattered across space. There was no jubilation, no empty celebration, only solemn acknowledgement of what had been achieved. Humans had stood, fought, and prevailed against overwhelming odds. Kalen turned to Lyra on the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard. "We did it," he said quietly, still catching his breath. Lyra nodded, her eyes scanning the stars. "Yes. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy has noticed. And now they'll begin to understand, underestimating humans comes with a price." Even from the distant chambers of the Galaxy Council, reports of Earth's triumph arrived. Archana Lyra's expression, once dismissive, hardened into something resembling unease. "Impossible," she muttered. "How could such a young species achieve this?" Kalen knew the Council would no longer ignore them. They had sent Earth into the galaxy unprepared, expecting weakness, and instead they had unleashed resilience, ingenuity, and courage beyond measure. Humanity had taken its first step into the cosmos not as petitioners, but as a force to be reckoned with. The human spirit shines. The battle had proven more than just technological capability, it had showcased the defining trait of humanity, heart. Against a superior enemy, humans had adapted, innovated, and fought as one species. They had risen not because of brute strength, but because of creativity, courage, and unity. Kalen stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Vanguard, watching the stars shimmer with the remnants of the battle. The Vorthians had been driven back, but Earth's story was just beginning. The humans had taken a stand, and the galaxy would never view them the same way again. Lyra joined him silently. "Do you feel it?" she asked. Kalen smiled, a mixture of pride and resolve lighting his eyes. "Yes. The galaxy mocked us, but they've seen our courage. And next time we'll be ready." Above the planet, the stars shone brightly, bearing witness to humanity's first victory, a spark that promised a blazing future. The Council watches. The chambers of the Galaxy Council were silent, a stillness that was more uneasy than serene. Massive, floating platforms hovered in the air, each holding delegates from distant star systems. Their forms ranged from crystalline structures of pure energy to flowing, amorphous creatures whose very presence bent light. At the center, Archana Lyra presided, her silver eyes reflecting the data streaming before her. Reports, images, and transmissions from Earth. The images were undeniable. Human spacecraft, young and untested, had engaged the Vorthian raiders with precision, strategy, and courage. They had adapted, fought, and, against all expectations, prevailed. Lyra's crystalline wings shimmered as she leaned closer to the display. "Impossible," she whispered, the word barely audible, yet heavy with disbelief. Around her, other council members exchanged glances, their forms vibrating with quiet murmurs. Chancellor Varnock, his metallic filaments rippling with tension, spoke first. "Archana Lyra, the reports are consistent. The humans did not just survive, they inflicted significant damage. They outmaneuvered the raiders, disrupted their formation, and even managed boarding incursions. Our sensors confirm multiple vessel losses on the Vorthian side." Lyra's gaze did not leave the holographic projections. They were dismissed as a minor species, yet they demonstrated ingenuity and adaptability far beyond what is typical of a young civilization. She let the words hang as though tasting their implication. The Council's dilemma. A low hum of discontent rippled through the chamber. The Council, a body used to centuries of protocol and certainty, faced a truth that threatened its very perception of order. Humans, underestimated at every turn, had shown potential that could not be ignored. Delegate Zillarin, a being of shifting light and thought, addressed the assembly. "We cannot continue to dismiss this species. If their trajectory continues, they will soon rival, if not surpass, civilizations we have considered advanced for millennia. We must reconsider our stance." Yet opposition was immediate. Torvith, the delegate from the Dravian system, a hulking creature of stone and magma, rumbled in disapproval. "They are young, untested, and their victories are circumstantial. The Vorthians were disorganized. We should not allow isolated incidents to influence the Council's judgment. The humans are insignificant." Lyra's eyes narrowed, a faint glimmer of steel in her expression. "Significance is not determined by dismissal, Torvith. Significance is measured by impact. And the humans, though small, have already altered the course of a conflict in this sector. Their actions demand attention." A tense silence followed. Delegates shifted uncomfortably, each aware of the growing realization that humanity could not be ignored. For centuries, the Council had dictated terms to the galaxy's young species, often with disdain. But Earth had shown them a lesson in resilience, strategy, and courage, the very qualities that the Council had once prized in others, yet overlooked in this blue planet. Kalen's message. Back on Earth, Kalen Virio monitored the Council's response via a secure subspace channel. He knew they had underestimated him, underestimated Earth, and underestimated human determination. Now the tides were shifting. He sent a carefully worded transmission to the Council, delivered with calm authority. Esteemed members of the Galaxy Council, Earth no longer seeks your intervention. We no longer seek your permission or approval. We act independently, as equals capable of defending ourselves and contributing to the balance of the galaxy. Your previous dismissal does not bind us. Humanity will rise and the galaxy will take notice. The message arrived in the chambers like a ripple through still water. Elira studied the transmission, her silver eyes reflecting both frustration and reluctant respect. Bold, she murmured almost to herself. They do not plead. They do not bow. They declare their independence and challenge our perception. Varnok's metallic filaments vibrated. This could be problematic. Their confidence may inspire other young civilizations. We may see a shift in the galactic order if this continues unchecked. Elira leaned back, considering. Unchecked? Perhaps. Or perhaps this is the beginning of something extraordinary, a species that refuses to be dismissed. Humanity has shown us what we failed to see before: courage, ingenuity, and unity. Qualities that may well define their future and perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. Whispers across the chamber. Across the council floor, delegates whispered in low tones. Some expressed admiration, others concern, and a few outright fear. No longer could Earth be treated as an insignificant planet on the outskirts of galactic politics. Their actions had forced the council to re-evaluate centuries of assumptions. Zillerin's voice rang out again, this time with urgency. We must observe them closely. Their trajectory is unprecedented. If their growth continues, they may challenge established powers, not through aggression but through resilience and strategy. We must decide how to engage, as allies, adversaries, or cautious observers. Torvith's stony form stiffened. This is preposterous. A species barely capable of interstellar travel should not dictate the course of galactic diplomacy. We risk destabilization if we overestimate their potential. Elira's gaze hardened, her wings quivering slightly with tension. Torvith, this is not a question of sentiment. It is fact. Humans have proven their capacity to act decisively where others falter. They have united an entire planet under a common cause, turned weakness into strategy, and challenged an enemy considered superior. Dismissing them further would be folly. The chamber fell into contemplative silence, each delegate weighing the implications. Across the galaxy, whispers of Earth's triumph would spread, and with it, a growing reputation for defiance, innovation, and courage. The Council realized, perhaps for the first time, that this young species could not be ignored. A shift in perspective. For Archon Elira, the events triggered a rare moment of reflection. The humans had acted without guidance, without centuries of training or interstellar politics shaping them. Yet they had succeeded. Their victory was not guaranteed, their tactics unconventional, and their resources limited, but their spirit had triumphed. She turned to Varnok. Prepare a report. We must track their development, study their capabilities, and understand their strategies. Humanity may yet become a defining species in the galaxy, one whose influence will ripple across systems for centuries. We cannot afford to dismiss them again. Varnok inclined, his metallic filaments trembling slightly with anticipation. Understood, Archon. I will compile intelligence and coordinate observation teams immediately. Elira's gaze drifted toward the viewport, where the stars stretched infinitely. Somewhere in the darkness, the humans continued to rise, building fleets, training pilots, and preparing for the challenges ahead. The Galaxy Council had underestimated them, and now they were beginning to feel the consequences. The seeds of respect. Though the Council would never openly admit it, a seed of respect had taken root for humanity. Not through pleas, petitions, or begging, but through action, resilience, and courage. The species had refused to bow, refused to be dismissed, and in doing so, had carved a space for themselves in the minds of the galaxy's oldest powers. Archon Elira whispered to herself, almost reverently, perhaps we have misjudged them. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated what it truly means to be human. Kalen Virio's words, spoken boldly from Earth, echoed in the halls of Zanara Prime. The message was clear: humans would no longer wait for recognition, they would define their own destiny. And in that realization, the Council understood something they had never before encountered. Humanity was not just a species to be measured, it was a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy had watched and humanity had risen. Unity of humanity. Earth had changed. The streets of New Geneva, once bustling with commerce and politics, now pulsed with a different energy, purpose. Factories that had produced cars and consumer goods now built spacecraft components. Laboratories that once studied terrestrial biology were now creating advanced energy shields, propulsion systems, and weaponry designed for battles beyond the atmosphere. At the heart of this transformation was Commander Lyra Voss, who had become more than a leader of Earth's fleet. She had become a symbol of human resilience. Standing atop the skyward command tower, she gazed at the orbiting fleet glinting under the sun. Every ship represented months of tireless labor, ingenuity, and courage. Humanity was no longer waiting for the galaxy's recognition. They were preparing to carve their own place in the stars. Beside her, Kalen Virio monitored communications from every corner of the globe. "The Council is watching," he said quietly. "Their skepticism is turning to curiosity and perhaps concern. But Earth must not falter now. We act for ourselves, not for approval." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. The galaxy has mocked us, dismissed us, even laughed at us. That is no longer our concern. We rise because we must and because we can. A planet united. From the mountains of Eurasia to the plains of Africa, from the deserts of Australia to the cities of North America, humanity moved as one. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked alongside civilians, each contributing in ways both small and monumental. Rena Salvik, the lead engineer aboard the Aegis Vanguard, coordinated orbital shipyards from the command hub. "Every contribution matters," she told her team. "The children creating simulations, the farmers producing rare materials, the technicians maintaining systems. All of it is vital. Humanity will not fail because humanity will act as one." Civilians took pride in their roles. In one workshop, teenagers assembled miniature drones designed for reconnaissance. Across the planet, AI programmers fine-tuned guidance systems for energy cannons. Soldiers trained relentlessly, preparing for space engagements with instructors who had once only trained for atmospheric combat. In the skies above Earth, test flights began. Small craft darted between orbital platforms, performing maneuvers that would soon be essential in real combat. Aurora's Edge led the fleet, its sleek design reflecting months of innovation and teamwork. Captain Joran Kale oversaw the exercises, his keen mind anticipating every scenario. "The enemy expects straightforward attacks," Joran told his pilots. "They will not expect humans to adapt, to innovate, to exploit every opening. We fight differently. That is our strength. Training for the impossible." Humanity's greatest asset was not its ships, its weapons, or its shields, but its ability to adapt. Every squadron ran simulations of attacks by hypothetical alien fleets, analyzing strategies and outcomes. Talia Wren, Joran's second-in-command, pushed her pilots to think creatively. "Predictability is death," she said, voice steady over the comm channels. "Expect the unexpected. Think in ways the enemy cannot anticipate. Your ingenuity is your weapon, your courage is your shield." Each pilot internalized the mantra. They learned to rely not only on technology but on instinct and strategy. Even the civilians contributing from Earth's surface felt the intensity of the mission. Analysts and AI specialists monitored enemy patterns, feeding real-time intelligence to orbital command. Humanity's war was being fought not just in space but across the planet, united as a single relentless force. The Global Assembly. In the Global Defense Council's headquarters, representatives from every nation gathered for the first official meeting on Earth's interstellar strategy. Kalen Virio addressed the assembly, his voice calm, resolute, and inspiring. "We no longer ask for permission," he said. "We no longer wait for the galaxy's judgment. We are united not by fear but by choice. Humanity acts because it must, because it can, and because it will. Every individual contributes to our survival and to our triumph." Lyra Voss stepped forward, her gaze sweeping the room. "We fight not for glory, not for recognition, but because it is our duty. Our planet, our species, and our future depend on our unity. And together there is nothing we cannot achieve." The assembly erupted in applause. But this was not mere ritual. It was a reaffirmation of Earth's commitment to itself, a promise that humanity would stand together no matter the threat. Preparing for the next engagement. The Vorthian raiders had retreated, but Earth could not afford complacency. Intelligence reports suggested they were regrouping, repairing their damaged ships, and preparing for a counterattack. Humanity needed to be ready, not just to defend but to take the initiative. Kalen convened a strategic council aboard the orbital command station. "We've seen what they can do," he said. But now we define the battlefield. We do not wait for them to strike. We prepare, we anticipate, and we act decisively. Lyra traced her finger along a holographic map of the nearby sectors. The Vorthians assume we are inexperienced. That assumption will be their downfall. We will hit where they least expect it, using speed, innovation, and strategy. The galaxy may have dismissed us once, but they will not dismiss humanity again. Joran Kale added, "Our pilots are ready. Our ships are ready. Every citizen has contributed to this effort. And that is our true advantage. We are not a fleet or a planet. We are a species united." Acts of heroism and ingenuity. Stories of human courage spread quickly across Earth's communication networks. Engineers repaired damaged ships mid-orbit, improvising solutions that alien civilizations might have deemed impossible. Pilots undertook dangerous maneuvers during simulations, training to react instinctively to unforeseen threats. Civilians and isolated research centers developed innovative propulsion systems, energy shields, and targeting algorithms, all feeding into the collective effort. Even children played a role. In classrooms around the world, students ran simulations and strategy exercises, unknowingly contributing to tactics that would soon be tested in real combat. Humanity's strength was no longer confined to its elite forces. It flowed through every individual, connecting Earth as a single living organism. Planet transformed. Months passed and Earth evolved. Cities transformed into centers of innovation, laboratories and shipyards expanded beyond imagination, and communication networks ensured that no contribution went unnoticed. Every individual felt their importance in the fight for survival, their stake in humanity's destiny. Lyra and Kalen stood together on the observation deck of the Skyward Command Tower, looking at the fleet orbiting above. "We've come far," Kalen said quietly. Lyra's gaze remained fixed on the ships. "Far, yes. But we are just beginning. The galaxy has yet to understand what it means to face a united humanity." Kalen smiled. "Then let them watch. Let them see what it means to rise when underestimated, to act when dismissed, to unite when threatened. Humanity will not just survive, we will define our future. The spark that will ignite the galaxy." Humanity's unity was not born from fear or desperation. It was born from determination, innovation, and courage. The planet had become a single organism, each citizen contributing to the survival and advancement of their species. The fleet above, though small compared to the galaxy's major powers, was formidable because it represented something the Council and the Vorthians had never fully understood. A species willing to fight together, think creatively, and never yield. In the shadows of space, the Vorthian raiders began to repair their vessels. Across the galaxy, the Council observed Earth's transformation with a mixture of admiration and trepidation. Humanity had risen from a dismissed species to a unified force, and the ripple of that unity would soon be felt across the stars. Lyra turned to Kalen one final time, her expression fierce and proud. "The galaxy has mocked us. The Council has dismissed us. But now we rise as one. And nothing will stop us." Kalen nodded, gazing at the stars. "The universe has yet to see what humanity can do. And when it does, it will never underestimate us again." Above Earth, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the first true unity of humanity, a unity that would define their destiny among the stars, the turning point. The calm that followed humanity's initial victory was only temporary. The Vorthian raiders, humiliated by their losses, had retreated to repair their fleet and regroup. Yet their arrogance had been wounded, and their hatred for Earth burned hotter than ever. Intelligence reports indicated that the Vorthians were amassing a larger force, one designed to crush humanity before it could expand its influence beyond its system. Above Earth, the human fleet waited in orbit, ready. Commander Lyra Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard, her eyes scanning the data streams. The fleet was no longer a fledgling force. It was a united, trained, and resilient armada. Every ship had been upgraded, every weapon calibrated, and every pilot drilled in countless simulations. Humanity had learned from the first engagement, and now they were ready to take the fight to their aggressors. Kalen Virio, monitoring subspace channels and enemy communications, spoke quietly to Lyra. "They think retreat gives them an advantage. They're wrong. They've underestimated humans before, and they will make the same mistake again." Lyra nodded. "Then let's show them why." The bold plan. Captain Joran Kale, aboard the flagship Aurora's Edge, convened his squadron. "The Vorthians expect a defensive stance. They assume we'll protect Earth while they come to us. That's predictable. And predictability is death." His voice carried the calm authority of a seasoned leader, tempered with the fire of someone who believed completely in his team. Joran activated a holographic map of the Vorthian fleet. Their ships are larger, stronger, and more numerous. But they have a weakness: overconfidence. They think they've seen what humans can do. They haven't. Our plan is simple: strike first, strike unexpectedly, and hit where it hurts the most. Talia Ren, Joran's second-in-command, leaned over the map. We'll divide their forces, draw them into traps, and force them to fight on our terms. Speed, precision, and coordination. If we execute flawlessly, we can turn their superiority into a liability. Lyra observed the plan from her command station. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're taking the initiative. This is the moment we show the galaxy that humanity does not wait for approval, it acts. The battle begins. As the Vorthian fleet approached, the human armada launched from orbit, moving with the coordination and precision of a single organism. Their ships darted through the void, using gravitational anomalies and asteroid fields for cover, masking their approach and confusing enemy sensors. The Vorthians, expecting a conventional defense, were caught off guard. Plasma bolts streaked through the darkness, only to be dodged or absorbed by human energy shields. Mines and decoy drones disrupted targeting systems, forcing enemy ships into disarray. Joran Kale led the initial strike, flanking a squadron of Vorthian cruisers. Fire all forward batteries. Focus on the conduits. His command was executed flawlessly. Energy beams tore through the enemy's defensive arrays, crippling their weapons and propulsion systems. From the bridge of the Aegis Vanguard, Lyra's voice rang over comm channels. Remember, pilots, adapt, improvise, and protect each other. Humanity thrives where others fail. Ingenuity and bravery. The turning point came when a group of Vorthian flagships attempted a direct assault on Earth's orbital defenses. A small human squadron, under Talia Ren's leadership, executed a daring maneuver. They weaved through a dense asteroid field, using its chaotic gravity to confuse the larger enemy vessels. Rena Salvik's orbital engineering drones deployed mid-battle, hacking into enemy targeting systems and feeding false coordinates to Vorthian sensors. The enemy fired blindly, colliding with one another in spectacular explosions. Human ingenuity turned the tide. Pilots, engineers, and AI specialists worked as one, exploiting the Vorthians' reliance on brute force and linear strategies. Every move was calculated yet adaptive, blending creativity with precision, humanity's greatest advantage. Kalen watched from Earth, his heart swelling with pride. They've been trained, yes, but more than that, they've learned to trust themselves and each other. This is what the galaxy has never seen before. A planet's courage. On Earth, millions watched the live transmissions. Children, parents, and scientists alike cheered as human ships executed daring maneuvers, turning disadvantage into opportunity. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival, they were asserting their place in the galaxy. Lyra addressed the fleet as the battle raged. This is what it means to be human. To adapt, to unite, to rise when all odds are against you. Every action you take proves our strength, our courage, and our resolve. The fleet responded with flawless coordination. Small attack vessels distracted and divided the enemy, while larger ships targeted key conduits and energy systems. Every strike was precise, every maneuver calculated, and every human aboard felt the weight and responsibility of the species they represented. The turning point. Hours into the battle, the humans achieved the unthinkable. Using a combination of strategy, ingenuity, and daring, they crippled the Vorthian mothership, the largest and most imposing vessel in the enemy fleet. Without its central command and energy hub, the Vorthian forces faltered. Their coordinated attacks dissolved into chaos. Joran Kale directed a final strike. All units converge. Focus fire on the remaining flagship. Energy beams tore through the ship's hull. Systems failed one by one. Finally, the colossal vessel erupted in a brilliant blaze of fire and debris, illuminating the darkness of space. The remaining Vorthian ships, demoralized and leaderless, retreated into the void. Humanity had not only survived, they had decisively won. The aftermath. The human fleet regrouped, damage assessed, and ships repaired. Though exhausted, every pilot, engineer, and soldier understood the magnitude of what had been accomplished. Humanity had turned the tide, proving that courage, unity, and ingenuity could overcome overwhelming odds. Kalen and Lyra stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Vanguard, looking at the stars littered with the remnants of enemy ships. "We've done it," Kalen said quietly. Lyra's gaze was steady, filled with determination. "Yes, but the galaxy is watching. This victory is not just ours, It's a message. Humanity will not be dismissed. We will stand, we will fight, and we will thrive. The galaxy takes notice. Reports of the battle spread across the galaxy. Even the Galaxy Council, which had dismissed Earth months earlier, could no longer ignore the humans. Archana Lyra watched the live feeds, her silver eyes narrowed. They were underestimated, and they have proven themselves. This is no longer a minor species at the edge of the galaxy, they are a force. Chancellor Varnock added, his metallic filaments vibrating in awe. Their ingenuity, coordination, and unity, it surpasses our expectations. The galaxy must reconsider humanity's role. We can no longer dismiss them. Elira's gaze lingered on the stars. Perhaps we misjudged them. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated what it truly means to be human. A new era begins. The battle marked a turning point not just in the war against the Vorthians, but in humanity's place in the galaxy. They had risen from a dismissed species to a recognized power, commanding respect through courage, ingenuity, and unity. Earth was no longer merely a blue planet at the galaxy's edge. It was a symbol of resilience, of hope, and of the indomitable human spirit. And while the galaxy watched, humanity prepared for what was to come, ready to define its destiny on its own terms. Lyra turned to Kaelin one final time. The Vorthians will remember this day. The galaxy will remember this day. Humanity has taken its stand. Kaelin smiled. Yes. And now we rise. Above Earth, the stars shone brighter, a silent witness to the species that refused to be underestimated, a species that had proven the galaxy wrong, and would continue to do so. Humanity's stand. The galaxy held its breath. Across the countless star systems, whispers of Earth's victories spread like wildfire. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, had proven their worth, not through diplomacy or petitions but through action, ingenuity, and indomitable courage. They had faced the Vorthian raiders and survived. They had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted a foe that the galaxy had assumed would overwhelm them. In orbit above Earth, the human fleet now gleamed like a constellation of steel and light. Commander Lyra Voss stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Vanguard, watching the ships glide with purpose. Beside her, Kaelin Virio scanned intelligence reports, noting the communications from the Galaxy Council and neighboring star systems. Every message, every transmission carried the same realization: humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. "This is it," Lyra said quietly. "The galaxy knows we exist. The galaxy knows we will not bow." Kaelin nodded. "And they will never underestimate us again." The call to action. Despite their victories, the humans understood that survival was only the beginning. The Vorthians had been driven back, but the threat had not vanished entirely. Intelligence suggested that scattered raider groups were still active, and other alien civilizations had begun observing humanity with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Kaelin convened a planetary council via holographic link. Scientists, engineers, military commanders, and representatives from every corner of the globe gathered in real time. "We are at a pivotal moment," Kaelin addressed them. "The galaxy has seen what humans can do. But power is not given, it is earned. We must continue to unite, innovate, and prepare. Humanity stands not just for Earth, but for the principle that courage, ingenuity, and unity define a species' worth." Lyra added, her voice resolute, "We will defend our home, expand our capabilities, and reach for the stars with determination. We are no longer petitioners, we are participants. And we will be heard." Planet transformed. Earth had been reshaped by the trials of war and the fires of determination. Cities hummed with innovation, laboratories and shipyards operated around the clock, and education and training programs integrated every citizen into the broader mission. Children studied simulations alongside experienced pilots, engineers collaborated with AI specialists, and civilians contributed supplies, data, and knowledge. Even the smallest acts had significance. Farmers producing rare minerals for propulsion systems, mechanics refining spacecraft engines, and programmers debugging AI targeting systems. Every contribution reinforced humanity's united stand. From orbit, the fleet prepared for expansion. New classes of ships launched from Earth's orbital platforms, designed to explore, defend, and assert humanity's presence. This was not conquest. It was preparation, innovation, and the assertion of a species refusing to remain ignored. The Council's recognition. Deep within Zanara Prime, the Galaxy Council gathered once more. Archana Lyra presided over the chamber, her wings shimmering with silent contemplation. "They have surpassed every expectation," she murmured. Not only have they defended themselves, they have transformed their planet into a hub of innovation and strength. They are extraordinary. Chancellor Varnok's metallic filaments trembled. The humans are no longer insignificant. Their victories, their unity, and their ingenuity challenge our understanding of potential. We cannot continue to ignore them. A debate ensued as other delegates voiced varying opinions. Some advocated caution, fearing the unpredictable nature of humanity. Others expressed admiration and suggested formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and potential as an interstellar participant. Finally, Elira raised her hand, silencing the chamber. Let it be known, humanity has earned its place in the galaxy, not through favor but through action. They have proven themselves worthy of observation, respect, and consideration. We will no longer dismiss them. A ripple of acknowledgement passed through the delegates. Earth had won more than battles. It had earned recognition from civilizations that had existed for millennia. Humanity's triumph. Back on Earth, Kaelin and Lyra watched the stars from the observation deck, reflecting on the journey from dismissal to recognition. Kaelin's voice was quiet, filled with awe. We started as a species mocked and underestimated. Now the galaxy watches with respect. Our victories are not just for survival, they are proof of what humans can achieve when united. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the constellation of ships above. And we've only just begun. Humanity's stand is more than defense, it is a statement. A promise that we will not be ignored, and a challenge to the universe to recognize our potential. Humanity's stand. The galaxy held its breath. Across the countless star systems, whispers of Earth's victory spread like wildfire. The humans, once dismissed as insignificant, had proven their worth, not through diplomacy or petitions but through action, ingenuity, and indomitable courage. They had faced the Vorthian raiders and survived. They had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted a foe that the galaxy had assumed would overwhelm them. In orbit above Earth, the human fleet now gleamed like a constellation of steel and light. Commander Lyra Voss stood on the observation deck of the Aegis Vanguard, watching the ships glide with purpose. Beside her, Kaelin Virio scanned intelligence reports, noting the communications from the Galaxy Council and neighboring star systems. Every message, every transmission carried the same realization. Humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. "This is it," Lyra said quietly. "The galaxy knows we exist. The galaxy knows we will not bow." Kaelin nodded. "And they will never underestimate us again." The call to action. Despite their victories, the humans understood that survival was only the beginning. The Vorthians had been driven back, but the threat had not vanished entirely. Intelligence suggested that scattered raider groups were still active, and other alien civilizations had begun observing humanity with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Kaelin convened a planetary council via holographic link. Scientists, engineers, military commanders, and representatives from every corner of the globe gathered in real time. "We are at a pivotal moment," Kaelin addressed them. "The galaxy has seen what humans can do. But power is not given, it is earned. We must continue to unite, innovate, and prepare. Humanity stands not just for Earth, but for the principle that courage, ingenuity, and unity define a species' worth." Lyra added, her voice resolute, "We will defend our home, expand our capabilities, and reach for the stars with determination. We are no longer petitioners, we are participants. And we will be heard." Planet transformed. Earth had been reshaped by the trials of war and the fires of determination. Cities hummed with innovation, laboratories and shipyards operated around the clock, and education and training programs integrated every citizen into the broader mission. Children studied simulations alongside experienced pilots, engineers collaborated with AI specialists, and civilians contributed supplies, data, and knowledge. Even the smallest acts had significance. Farmers producing rare minerals for propulsion systems, mechanics refining spacecraft engines, and programmers debugging AI targeting systems. Every contribution reinforced humanity's united stand. From orbit, the fleet prepared for expansion. New classes of ships launched from Earth's orbital platforms, designed to explore, defend, and assert humanity's presence. This was not conquest. It was preparation, innovation, and the assertion of a species refusing to remain ignored. The Council's recognition. Deep within Zanara Prime, the Galaxy Council gathered once more. Archon Elira presided over the chamber, her wings shimmering with silent contemplation. "They have surpassed every expectation," she murmured. "Not only have they defended themselves, they have transformed their planet into a hub of innovation and strength. They are extraordinary. Chancellor Varnok's metallic filaments trembled. The humans are no longer insignificant. Their victories, their unity, and their ingenuity challenge our understanding of potential. We cannot continue to ignore them. A debate ensued as other delegates voiced varying opinions. Some advocated caution, fearing the unpredictable nature of humanity. Others expressed admiration and suggested formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and potential as an interstellar participant. Finally, Elira raised her hand, silencing the chamber. Let it be known, humanity has earned its place in the galaxy, not through favor but through action. They have proven themselves worthy of observation, respect, and consideration. We will no longer dismiss them. A ripple of acknowledgement passed through the delegates. Earth had won more than battles. It had earned recognition from civilizations that had existed for millennia. Humanity's triumph. Back on Earth, Kaelin and Lyra watched the stars from the observation deck, reflecting on the journey from dismissal to recognition. Kaelin's voice was quiet, filled with awe. We started as a species mocked and underestimated. Now the galaxy watches with respect. Our victories are not just for survival, they are proof of what humans can achieve when united. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the constellation of ships above. And we've only just begun. Humanity's stand is more than defense, it is a statement. A promise that we will not be ignored, and a challenge to the universe to recognize our potential. Below them Earth thrived. Its citizens had become more than inhabitants, they had become architects of a new era. Pilots, engineers, scientists, and civilians alike had contributed to the rise of humanity, each action a testament to courage, ingenuity, and unity. The spark that ignited the galaxy. News of humanity's victories reached distant star systems. Young civilizations inspired by Earth's resilience began to reconsider their own place in the galaxy. Even the Vorthians, once arrogant and dismissive, were forced to acknowledge the threat and respect the humans had become. Kaelin knew this was just the beginning. Humanity's rise would not be measured only in battles won, but in the legacy of innovation, unity, and courage they left for the future. Lyra turned to him, her expression determined. The galaxy has watched. The Council has recognized us. Now it's up to us to show what it truly means to be human. Kaelin nodded. We fight, we explore, and we rise. Humanity's stand is eternal. The legacy of humanity. The victory over the Vorthians and the recognition by the Galaxy Council marked a new chapter. Earth was no longer a peripheral world. It had become a symbol of resilience, ingenuity, and courage. The human species had proven that even in the face of dismissal, mockery, and overwhelming odds, they could rise and redefine their destiny. Across the globe, people celebrated not just survival but achievement. Children learned that courage and ingenuity could shape the future. Scientists and engineers saw their innovations become instruments of triumph. Soldiers and pilots understood that unity and strategy could overcome raw power. Every human felt a part of something greater, a species standing together, ready to define its place in the galaxy. Above Earth, the stars shone brighter than ever. Humanity had taken its stand, proving that strength lies not merely in power, but in heart, unity, and determination. Kaelin and Lyra stood side by side, gazing at the fleet orbiting above. We were dismissed, Kaelin said softly. We were mocked. But look at us now. Lyra's smile was proud and unwavering. The galaxy knows who we are. Humanity stands. And nothing will ever make us fall. And as the stars stretched infinitely beyond, Earth's people prepared for a future defined not by fear or limitation, but by the boundless courage of a species that refused to be underestimated, a species that had risen, united, and claimed its place among the stars. Humanity had taken its stand, and the galaxy would never forget it.